Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Lou. You are listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast. Alex Wong is actually on the show. I don't know why he just disappeared 1 second into going live. I'm assuming he's got some camera issues. But we are going to gather here today to discuss the news of Bobby Webster being named the head decision maker of the Toronto Raptors. Actually, his title didn't really change, so it's kind of funny to say that he was named anything else because he still remains the president of the Toronto Raptors. And, but the bigger key obviously is that, the news broke last week while we were away on vacation that Bobby will be the main decision maker going forward for the team. And of course, in addition to being given the control of the team, he's also been given a contract extension to sort of, catch up with sort of the rest of the team. And so basically, Bobby's taking over. I want to talk about why Bobby was the right choice to lead the Raptors moving forward. I want to talk about what should be on Bobby's to-do list now that he is officially taken over, and also just kind of address some of the reporting that came out in terms of, because when you search for a new president, you're going to get a lot of feedback from, external candidates about what's wrong with the team, what you should do next. And you certainly did hear a lot of, I guess, wouldn't say unsolicited advice. This would be specifically solicited advice, but on what's going wrong with the Raptors. And so joining me to talk about all that is co-host Alex Wong. What's going on, dog?
Yo, what's good, man? It's good to be back, chatting with you and stuff. Wow, my voice is bad from the Oasis show yesterday.
What's wrong with your voice, man?
Sorry, man. I was screaming a little bit too much, man. So,
yeah,
I'm a group. Congrats to Bobby. It's good to have one president in this world that you respect. I guess he's technically not president. He's still just the general manager. But he's the president to me, man. Like, he beat out all these other, minuscule candidates. He runs basketball operations now. So from now on, I'm referring to him as the president. I think it's only fair.
Yo, we got our first Asian president, man. This is kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie. Before this was just Rich Cho of the Charlotte Hornets.
Rich Cho, food blogger.
Yo, Bobby, I'm just saying the bar's low, okay? But we got to clear Rich Cho one time. But, yeah, okay. Let's start with first off the announcement that was sort of put out last week. Again, like literally, I got the news while I was on the beach in Marseille.
No, we
my phone was blowing up. I actually turned on service for a day just to send Bobby a congratulations text. He hit me with a heart emoji. It was worth it, man. That was worth $16 of roaming from home.
That's a lot, man. Even Rogers doesn't charge that much. Were you nude on the beach? Yo, my voice is terrible. Okay. Yo, I apologize to everybody.
Yo, this guy doesn't have a camera going. This guy doesn't have a voice. It's nuts.
Were you nude
okay, so
on?
No, man, it was just a regular beach.
No, because I know the beaches in the south of France. They like to be accommodating.
They can be accommodating. This one was certainly not that type of.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Not that type, but so this was the announcement that was put out last week. Keith Pelly said, "Quote: Going through this comprehensive process this summer and meeting with external candidates played a critical role in arriving at this decision, as it made it clear that we already have the right person leading the Raptors in-house. When we weighed the many considerations, including roster construction, team culture, and competitive landscape, it made perfect sense to officially hand the team to Bobby and give him the time and support to allow his plan to develop." He said, "After spending time together this summer in Las Vegas, I was very impressed with Bobby's leadership style, his rapport with the players and staff, his reputation with peers across the league, especially and importantly, his vision for the Raptors. This team is his now to lead, and I know that we all look forward to what comes next." When you hear this from Keith, does this reassure you in some way? Does this give you any new information in terms of just why the Raptors obviously chose to stick with Bobby and sort of promote him to the top log?
Yeah, I'll get to Mr. Pelly in a second, but after spending some time with Bobby in Vegas too, I am really impressed by his leadership skills as well.
Oh, man.
Top shelf, baby. No, but I think Keith Pelly in his Shakespearean way was like, to Bobby or not to Bobby, like
Mm.
this was his whole plan. I guess he flew out to Vegas, realized he probably, how many people do you think Keith Pelly knew at Summer League, man? Like coming,
I
like
told
walking
you.
into this basketball circles,
Mhm.
like how many people do you think he's spotting at the
There's no
Cox
way.
Pavilion?
Because the funny thing is, remember there was like that third game the Raptors were playing Denver. That was
Yeah,
the
and you
one with all the
spotted them
fights and
courtside.
everything.
You spotted them
So
courtside.
most of the reporters had left. Like Grange had left. Like
Soft,
Kareen had left. You
soft,
know what I mean? Like you and Jerome had left earlier that
soft.
day.
Yeah.
So it was legit just me and Liban like watching this Raptors Nuggets game. It also led to this very chaotic post game show where I had like the wrong mic set up. I had a cold. It was all terrible. But the most notable thing was the fact that Keith actually did show up, and I described it. It was a bit of a weird scene because like usually you had all the people sitting together. All the Raptors people sitting together on the usually a courtside basically, right, on the sideline, and it was weird because Keith had posted up on the baseline and Larry Tannenbaum had posted up on the sideline near the scorers table. So there were two divided camps, and Bobby had to spend some time first to sit with Larry for the
Dog.
first half, and then at halftime switch seats,
I
sit with Keith for the second half.
you're bringing, but
It's a bit awkward, man.
this is exactly how I spend time with my parents, man. Like literally, Larry in
Yeah,
the
honestly,
first
yeah.
half, Pelly in the second half.
No, it was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
During halftime, there was a brief like handshake, I think, but it was like very, very like just like it was just like hey, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I think it was important for Keith, I think, to spend time with the Raptors in this process, not only because that's literally his job as the president of MLSE, but I think especially so for Keith because his background is more in hockey than anything else, right? Like his biggest deal, I think, that he's actually orchestrated was, when it was his time at Sportsnet, and he negotiated like that land, I guess like really expensive, but ultimately like a pretty groundbreaking deal to bring hockey to like I think exclusively to Sportsnet or something. Again, I'm not a big hockey guy,
Wow,
but like
this guy brought hockey to Canada. That's crazy, dog.
I mean, he took it. I think he took Hockey Night Canada away. I think that's kind of the idea. But like, his background is primarily in hockey, right? So even when you saw like after this season ended for the Leafs, losing in Game 7 of the second round against the Panthers, heartbreaking fashion by the way. Leafs folding like crazy in that one, but when the decision was made to let go of Brendan Shanahan, like he was basically like, look, I know enough about hockey that like sort of I can sort of serve in this capacity. I think it was very clear from the beginning that he doesn't have that sort of familiarity with basketball, especially with the Raptors and sort of how they operate. So I'm actually happy that he made quote unquote the effort. I mean, this is his job, but like, you know what I mean? Like to actually go down, see in Summer League, because everybody's there in Summer League. Everyone's sort of spending time together as an organization. And if you're going to evaluate sort of how everyone sort of responds to the guy in charge, like I think that's a good sort of like scenario to sort of judge something like that, And I think with Bobby, like, even though I think like Keith is certainly not a popular man right now, and you can hear sort of our previous sort of conversations on Keith on this, but like I do think that like he did nail a couple of things with Bobby. I think number one, anybody who spent time with him understands that he first off is a really, really smart guy. Like it's just it's just very, very clear that he's definitely special in that sense. But I think the other part is just he's a pretty straight shooter. You know what I mean? Like he's easy to get along with. He doesn't really like bullshit you. He doesn't really try to like string you along. He's not a guy who's like greasing you up or anything like that in terms of like trying to get you on his side. Like there's not a really like a politician side to Bobby that you get. It's like what you see is sort of what you get, and I think that's not just our own personal experience, which we can put aside for this specific thing because that probably comes across as a little biased. But even speaking to like mostly like agents who have dealt with the Raptors and stuff like that, like the number one thing you always hear with Bobby is just he's easy to deal with. He's straight up with you. He's available, and there are no sort of games. Like you kind of know where he sort of stands, which I think that obviously makes it easy for people to sort of deal with him. So that's sort of reflective of our own experience. And I guess Keith is sort of observing that similar quality in Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just coming into this with a pretty healthy dose of skepticism in terms of like, Keith Pelly on the basketball side. And what I would hope is that, he's gone through this process. Of course, he's learning, and that putting Bobby in this position to run basketball operations now, I think the one thing that Raptors fans probably want is just like a hands-off approach, right? Like I think we want to see
Yeah.
Bobby be the person that's not just the face, but actually running things behind the scenes, being the key decision maker, and all of this stuff. And you never know when there's like ownership changes and there's just changes with upper management, like how that process is gonna go. Like when Masai was here, I think there was always a comfort of like, oh, Larry Tannenbaum has his back, and Masai was like had the
Yeah.
autonomy to do a lot of stuff, right? Like we're still gonna have to see how that's gonna look.
Right.
So yeah, I think I mean I know we're gonna talk about the candidates and stuff, but like compared to the other candidates that were mentioned, that were potentially interviewed, I think for most Raptors fans, the outcome that they wanted was for Bobby to get the job, because there wasn't anybody out there, I think, that was this like
Yeah.
prize, and I think for Keith too. Part of it is like I'm sure he heard the backlash from like the Friday press conference that he did after they let Masai go, and you're essentially kind of replacing Masai, but like how are you going to replace a figure like that, like a cultural
Yeah.
figure and stuff like that? Like if you bring someone in, that's a tough position to fill, right? And I think
Right.
it makes sense to just go in house. And there's familiarity with Bobby. I think fans are familiar with him. I know a lot of fans probably not happy with his work from the last 5 years and stuff. I mean, that can be debated, but it's like it's a familiar face, and I think there's at least some continuity there. And you're not bringing in someone new that's like gonna maybe disrupt everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It was certainly going to be a tough act to follow. You know what I mean? And even when you look at the candidates that were out there, it never really felt like, it wasn't like you're bringing like for like. You know what I mean? If you're going to bring someone in to be president and to be the ultimate decision maker, and then to keep Bobby sort of as the GM, like none of those other candidates felt like definitive presidents, sort of to me. But I also think the other part too is that you mentioned is Masai had incredible backing in Toronto until obviously the ownership change happened, right? With Rogers taking over. But for the most part, for a guy who was here for 12 years, he had phenomenal backing. And I think that's what you would ideally like. You know what I mean? Like when you think about model organizations in the league, like the Spurs or OKC, stuff like that, like not once have you heard, oh, like Greg Popovich doesn't have the full backing of, Spurs management, or that like RC Buford doesn't have like, the full backing of management. Like you have like, ideally you have a situation like you had in Toronto, where obviously when Masai was hired, at that time Masai was, recently coming off of Executive of the Year in Denver. Tim Lagwicki was brought in as the new president of MLSE, so that was the Keith Pelly back then. I mean, I certainly, by the way, if Keith was anywhere close to what Tim did, I think it would actually be great for all sports in Toronto. But when Tim Lewicki came in, like Masai was his guy. Like that was it. Like you didn't even hear about other candidates. It was just Masai who was going to come in and replace Brian Colangelo, and he had the full support and backing the whole way. I mean, even when you just see Masai and Larry sort of together, like I think Larry at one point said, "I see Masai as my son." You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really get closer than that. I think that's the benefit that you're not going to get immediately with Bobby and whatever sort of management structure is currently in place between either Keith or, Ed Rogers. I mean, if Ed Rogers came out and said, I look at Bobby Webster as his son, I actually think that would be a negative for Bobby, to be honest. Like, if I were Bobby, I'd be like, yo, keep that to yourself. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be that level of backing right away. And to be fair, like, Bobby doesn't have the resume that Masai had when Masai was brought in with the Raps, because Masai had done a great job in Denver before he came to Toronto.
Yeah,
but again, it's hard to compare up to Masai, man.
No, I think it takes time, and I think part of the thing too is like I think one of the good positives for Bobby in this situation is too, like, when we interviewed him for like whole Renfrew and stuff, like he broke down the details of like how the Kawhi trade happened, but it's like the perception is always like the credit has always gone to Masai. Like I don't think Bobby cares in that way, but like from a public
actually
perception,
doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Which I think is really key. You know what I mean? Like, because when you're a number two, there's all the last thing you want as a number two is like you don't want another guy who like wants to like secretly like get the like he's like secretly plotting to get more fame or more credit or more of an advancement career opportunity.
That's why we work, brother. That's why, like, I don't want anything. I just want money. Yeah. Like, I don't want credit.
That's why you and Bobby get along, man.
I don't want credit. I don't want anything. No, but I think
he wants debit.
I think it's like when people talk about, oh my God, can't believe Masai pulled off the Kawhi trade and then pulled off the Mark trade during the championship season, all this stuff. Like, we know Bobby's been a huge support and,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
probably at the head of, like, making a lot of these transactions happen. So I think now he gets to be at the forefront. Like, he's gonna have to take both, obviously, the positive and the negatives from the moves that he's gonna make. But I think there's
Yeah.
something interesting. It doesn't feel like it's just like a handoff from, like, Masai to Bobby. Like, I'm actually excited to see what Bobby's vision is, right? Like, we
Yeah.
know how much Masai valued, say, Scotty. Like, Scotty was always his guy, right? Like, he backed Scotty.
Always.
He was ready to, if he had to choose between the championship core or building around Scotty, like, he made his choice there. He's
It
always
was
talked
Pascal
about
or
him.
Scotty. It's
Yeah,
Scotty. If
yeah.
it's Katie or Scotty, it's Scotty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Masai was very firmly in
Yeah,
Scotty's
like
camp, for
that,
sure.
right? So then it's like, those are one of many questions I have about, like, how does Bobby see this team? Like, is Bobby
Right.
looking at this team as a team that him and Masai built together? He feels
Mm-hmm.
good about locking these players into these contracts with the starting lineup, or is he coming into it being maybe more open-minded than Masai, of being like, I'm gonna see how this season goes, and then maybe we got to pivot again. So I think it introduces a
Yeah.
lot of new questions to what this roster might look like going forward.
I think one thing that, again, I've consistently heard about Bobby's approach is that he's a very pragmatic guy. I think that, like, I think even with Masai, I think largely to his benefit, and certainly this won him over in the hearts of fans. But he operated more maybe in the realm of emotion versus, like, sort of Bobby, again, being a very cold-blooded,
And
pragmatic
Masai's
type of
admitted
guy.
that. He's admitted that in pressers, right? He's like, the toughest part for me is the emotional part, because he gets real emotional.
Absolutely. He said this many times about, letting go of Dwayne Casey, letting go of, obviously, DeMar
Probably
DeRozan in
wasn't
that
that
trade.
emotional letting Dwayne. Shouts to Dwayne, but you got swept, bro.
Yeah, that was, you know what,
Got
honestly.
swept every year, bro.
All of Raptors Nation was walking with Masai on that one in terms of that walk to
I still
Dwayne's
love
office
that
and
clip.
letting him
Remember
go.
they always pull that clip of, like, I think Masai grabbing Dwayne when they were walking off the court.
Oh, yeah. Yo, that was crazy because that was in open gym. Like, that was teams sanctioned, you know what I mean? Like, that was like, yeah, leave that in there. Leave me confronting Dwayne Casey in there. But yeah, like, I think that
Bobby's gonna have a different approach, like a different approach.
a different approach. And like, I think that, this is, I mean, I have eternal love for Masai, man. Like, I'm still, I would still love to interview Masai, especially considering now that he's gone. I want to know sort of, like,
We're
sort of
putting
the
up
fallout and
put up a
everything that went out.
25K bounty on that, man.
Hey, Masai, there's a bounty on your interview status. Okay.
But, by
I
the
wouldn't
way,
say on your
someone
head.
asked
That
if
sounds
I think
crazy,
someone
but-
asked if we paid for Serge to be on the interview. No, we just waited 2 years. Yeah. In retrospect, payment would have been easier.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
No. But yeah, no, I think you make a good point, just about, like, a different approach.
For sure.
Approach. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
and I think that makes it interesting. I think, and, like, we've known Bobby for so long, like, we joked about, like, him being same age, like, he's 40. Like, he's
Yeah.
still really young in the exec game. And
For sure.
I think this is, like, a huge opportunity for him, right? Like, I think in the past, I think, like, Chicago has tried to reach out to, like, poach
Yep.
him as a GM. I'm sure there's been other teams that's been interested in Bobby, and I think it's cool for Bobby to now get to lay the groundwork. And then, like, this is like the Bobby era. We probably need a cooler name than that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing too is just, like, when you're, I think especially when you're the top guy, like, you need to have this ability to reach across multiple tables and connect. You need to be with the same person at different places. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be comfortable sitting in a board of directors meeting, and explaining why you're making a big trade, right? And you're pitching that to the board of directors, who are, again, like, a very different group as compared to, you got to be the same person that you can be, like, in a gym, looking at, like, high school prospects, and there are, like, 17-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, or you got to be the same person, negotiating with rival GMs as you are, like, equally comfortable, like, being at the clutch party, like, you know what I mean? Like, like, hanging out with Rich Paul, which is an actual thing that we all done together, right? And so I think that there is probably, for me, like, an actual ideal age of what the top decision maker should be. And I think it should be in that 40 to 50 range, when you have that ability to, again, like, just to just connect all the groups. Like, when Masai took over with the Raps, I think he was, like, 41.
Yeah.
So it's actually, like, relatively similar in terms of the scenarios there. And I think, honestly, to be fair, what the team Masai inherited from Brian Colangelo at that time was not very successful, was very uncluttered, and it was, it was just like I guess it was unclear in terms of what they actually had. Now, granted, some of those pieces turned out to be really good, right? Jonas Valanciunas was a longtime starting center. DeMar DeRozan, still the franchise scorer, leading in points, and of course Kyle Lowry was on the team. But at that time, they were not viewed like that, and they had zero tracker and had zero success. I actually think the team that Bobby's taking over right now actually has a lot more cachet and definitely more talent across the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would say there's similarities too in that, like, he's
You
coming
got to clarify it though.
he's coming into taking over a team that's like been out of the playoffs, similar to when Masai came in. And I think he's coming into a team with like pretty big questions. Like, I think at the time when Masai came in, like Rudy Gay was the big contract that was
Right.
kind of just like in the way type. And like, I'm not putting RJ in the same position, but it's like I think there's a question about RJ moving forward. That's like a similar thing that he needs to approach. And I think there's similar questions going back to like, oh, who's going to be the number one guy? Because back then,
Right.
like Kyle and DeMar hadn't really emerged like that. So if anything, I think it's pretty similar. And he's like under pressure to try to just get this team back to the playoffs, right? And I think that
Right.
was Masai's goal as well.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that comes with the clarity. But I think sometimes, especially in sports, like the right decision presents itself to you. That's not to say that you shouldn't have like a master plan. Shouts to Noel Gallagher.
Worst song of the set list. You gotta do an
Yeah,
encore and then do master plan. I'm not gonna
So
tell
dance
Liam
if
and
you
Noel
wanna
what to
dance.
do because they're making £3 billion a night. But yeah.
Yeah, no, but like it's not to say you shouldn't have this like grand vision for like the pieces you have on paper, but also sometimes like you have to be open to sort of like the opportunities that present itself.
Things
That's
things
what
sort
happened
them,
in 2014.
things sort them out by themselves.
Right,
Like that's
'cause
what happened with That's what happened in 2014. They made
Exactly,
the Rudy Gay
yeah.
trade. They added the depth, and then everything just sorted itself out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you might need to make a move on this roster to actually have that clarity, though.
For sure. And I think that's the biggest thing too with the team is just like I think the team as is right now, I don't want to change it until I see it first.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to see how they roll into the season.
No, you
and
got to
then
see it. Shout out Faisal Kamisa. Yeah.
You got it. I mean, by the way, his Shane Bieber clip
Oh.
was quite good, man. A lot of
Yeah,
references
He
in that
was
one.
nervous about it that day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Wanch. But I think that the thing with the team right now is like, let me actually see what it looks like. Let me see how it fits together.
Sure.
And then you make your decision. And I think, with Masai, when he first took over, like the idea was like, we're going to tear it down. Remember, I think the grand vision, the master plan, quote unquote, was we're going to tank for Wiggins, right? That was 2014. But of course, like, life presented a different opportunity, and obviously after the Rudy Gay trade and almost nearly the Kyle Lowry trade to New York, which the Knicks vetoed more than necessarily the Raptors pulled them off the table, like that team started gelling and that team started like taking over, and I'm hoping that like something similar happens with the Raptors now, and I think that you have to be open to it either way. Of course, if the Raptors are not successful next season, I want to see this team have a strong change in sort of like which direction they want to go. But again, I think Bobby being really pragmatic, I think he's going to see how it goes and
Well,
go
that's
from there. You know, what I
that's
mean?
the other big question for me too. Is like I think Masai for a time before the championship was the only criticism you could give him was he was almost too patient. Like
Yeah,
he was
sure.
always willing, like because there was calls for like Dwayne Casey's head, like after they got
Bro,
swept by the
after
Wizards.
the Wizards series,
Yeah,
Yep.
after the Wizards series, I was really embarrassing. It was like, man, like you
Yo,
gotta break up Kyle and DeMar too. Like
You
all of
remember
this
when
stuff.
Dwayne Casey came to the press conference with the Dallas Mavericks ring on his hand?
Yeah. That's like me. That's like me showing up with like a "How hungry are you?" beef peanuts pizza photo. It's like, yo, y'all remember what I did 7 years ago? Also, you're like, no. I mean, he was a great defensive coordinator, but on the basketball, you weren't even the head coach.
The thing about
Yo,
the
I
old
love
days,
Dwayne. Dwayne, I love you, man. I feel like you're gonna see this clip.
they're the old days, man. Come on, dude. But
Yeah, no, but like I
you're
think
right, though.
that
Masai was patient.
Masai was it was always like, man, why is he not making changes? And I wonder like what is the timeline for Bobby of evaluating this roster? Like you said, like you have to see it. Is he gonna give it like 2 years, right? Is he gonna give it a
Yeah.
year, 2 years here? Like there's gonna be decisions that are gonna need to be made in the interim with like RJ and stuff. But otherwise, all the other guys are pretty locked in.
Yeah.
So, like, is he gonna give it a bit of a runway and see if like maybe some of the younger guys can come up too, and then
Hmm.
now you have like more depth, and maybe you can
Yeah.
make more moves and stuff. So I wonder what the patience level is for Bobby
Right.
with this.
It's funny you're bringing all this history up because I actually think that some of it's actually really illustrative, right? Like, when every time you hear Masai asked about the Kawhi trade, he's always like, "Man, like that was so difficult. Like I had to call Demar, and
Hmm.
it was so emotional." And then when we asked Bobby about the Kawhi trade, he's like, "Yeah, man, this is what happened. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
no, it
boom,
was
boom."
straight. It's
Like there
straight
was no
business, right?
sentiment with it.
No,
You
it
know
was
what I mean? There
straight
was no
business.
sentiment with it. Right.
Yeah, straight
And there was no
business.
like
Yeah.
couching the statements. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why going back to my point, like. I think that the big difference between the two of them, even if they have maybe similar team building philosophies, and I'm
Yeah.
sure Bobby has learned a lot from those and absorbed a lot of what Masai has done.
Hmm.
But their difference in sort of how they approach it is Bobby's really pragmatic, and Masai can obviously lead with
Well,
emotion
same
sometimes.
with the Pascal situation. I know Grange has reported this too, is
Yeah.
that Bobby recommended that, hey, why don't we just extend Pascal, and then even if we wanted to trade him, we can do it after. And
Yep.
Masai was against that, so there was two differing opinions there. And again, that's Bobby approaching it from a very pragmatic way, of like,
Yeah.
hey, this player, even if you don't view him as a future part of the team, it's an asset,
Right.
and we should retain this asset and then see
Right.
what value we can get for it. Whereas I think Masai took a different approach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
it will be interesting. One other thing that's interesting was the other candidates. And so Michael Grange, a friend of the program at Sportsnet,
It's gonna
free
be the
Grange.
only one doing reporting. Everything
I want.
is just great. Shouts to Jay
No,
Will too, man. Yeah.
I want Grange on the show. I want to make honestly that's one of my goals for year 2 of Hello and Welcome. Is I want to get Grange on the show.
I think that
Grange,
goal can be met.
Grange is
Yeah.
super plugged in. Grange is you got to give him his flowers. I hate just like only
That's a
ever reading Grange's reporting.
that's
to
a Hall
you
of
on this.
Famer, man. He was recently
Well,
inducted
he
into the
was-
Hall of Fame.
Congrats
Yeah.
to Grange in the Hall of Fame, man.
That's a Hall of Famer, man.
Grange reported that the Raptors interviewed 3 external candidates, so obviously beyond Bobby. The 3 candidates were Kevin Pritchard, who is currently the president of the Indiana Pacers,
Yes, sir.
Monty McNair, who is currently a free agent but was formerly the president of the Sacramento Kings, and then before that, GM of the Houston Rockets underneath of Daryl Morey, and then of course number 3, Dwayne Casey.
So
who-
first of all.
Oh
So the
my
report.
God.
So
No,
the like.
please, man, relax
no, no,
on
no.
Dwayne.
So then originally, like when Grange came up with his list, this was like very early in the process. He was just kind of
Yeah.
suggesting potential candidates without really like deep reporting. And I think
Right.
the one name that jumped out when he made that list was Dwayne, because like
Yeah.
you just think about the dynamic of like Bobby reporting to a head coach who was let go during his tenure already. Like it just seemed to be a pretty like weird dynamic from there. And also just Dwayne returning to the organization like after all of this. And like did Grange manifest this? Like did Keith Pelly
No,
look at Grange's list and was like, yo, that's not a bad idea, man. I know
No,
Dwayne.
but you know what's funny because so it was like said so publicly and many times that like, oh, the Raptors are gonna get Creative Arts Agency CAA. They're gonna go out there and get CAA to find a list for
Yeah.
us. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if CAA found Dwayne Casey. I think
No, he called the wrong CAA, man. Pelly got his car towed, bro.
I'm just again like all love to Dwayne, but like I feel like you know what I mean. Like
It just
okay,
doesn't. It didn't make sense.
Okay, so for example, the Atlanta Hawks also use CAA to find like a list of candidates.
Sure.
Ultimately, by the way, the Atlanta Hawks also chose not to hire any external candidates and just stuck with their
Yeah.
guys in house, right? But when they did it, like you didn't see like the Atlanta Hawks being like, "Hey, we're going to talk to Dwayne Casey." It wasn't like Dwayne Casey was like one of the next up candidates to become
No, but
president
this was
around the
not
league.
less about Dwayne and more about Keith Pelly for me. This is like a red flag
Yeah.
for me. I'm like, so we're gonna scour basketball circles to try to find someone for a very important position for
Right.
the organization. And like, I think Kevin Pritchard, obviously with the Pacers' success, is a worthy candidate. Monty
Okay,
McNair, I
but
guess.
you know what? If we pause on that,
Yeah.
like if it was okay, obviously. If it wasn't this year, if it was after the end of last year, the Raptors
Sure.
let go of Masai and they got to bring in a new guy.
Sure.
Was Kevin Pritchard like top of your head in terms
No,
of like,
but it's
okay, we
like-
need to get him?
listen,
Because he's
nobody-
been in the league a long time. you know
Nobody
what I
was
mean?
in the
Like, he
streets
with
being
the-
like, yeah. Nobody was in the streets being like, I want Pritchard. But like, this is how the NBA works though. It's copycat league, right? It's like Pacers.
okay, who's hot right now? Yeah,
Pacers were hot, right? And Monty McNair, sure. I guess he lit the beam for a year in Sacramento. Like I don't
But he
know.
also
He
traded
has
Tyrese
experience. Yeah,
Halliburton.
no, like he has experience, all this stuff. But then it's like you get to Dwayne, and it's like this is not a knock against any of Dwayne's credentials, but it's like you just got to understand from like just a practical standpoint. It wouldn't have made sense to bring him in. It would just been awkward. Like,
No,
and
I think
that's why for me, I was like, damn, this is the list that like Keith and CA are coming up with.
right. Well, I think one thing too is just like there's obviously this popular sentiment out there that Rodgers is cheap when it comes to the management of their sports teams. And you can debate whether that's fair or not because I think the Blue Jays certainly spent a lot of money. You can't tell me they're cheap if they spent a $500 million on Vladdy, and before that they were trying to give 700 M's to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
right?
8 million to Miles Straw. Let's go, baby. Yeah.
Hey man, that turned out actually pretty well, man. And one of the best defensive. Well, I guess we also have Varsho as well, but whatever. But like I think that's certainly one of the knocks against Rodgers, whether that's fair or not, whether that's rooted in truth or not. And I think one of the things, especially when you saw sort of how the Leafs are now being managed and how TFC is now being managed, it was like, okay, we brought in Keith Pelly to be our new president of MLSE, and then suddenly we no longer have a president with the Leafs. We just have Keith and we have the GM of the Leafs. And then TFC, they get rid of their president, and now instead of having a president and a GM, now it's just Keith. And then whoever runs, the GM of TFC right now.
So they're not paying two positions there, basically.
Right,
They've
and then with
eliminated
the
a role.
Raptors, you could tell the one thing, even though Keith Pelly was prepared to be as like opaque as possible as to why they let go of Masai, the one thing they kept referring to, and I guess that's probably what they were sensitive of in terms of the public narrative, was like, hey, we're not trying to cheap out here because we are going to find a new president of the Raptors. Now, it turns out, obviously, months later, they don't even hire a new president of the Raptors, which is fine by me because I'm actually cool with Bobby running the team. But ultimately what you're seeing is that like it's the same thing, right? It's Keith as the president of MLSE, and now there's a GM. So if there's this perception out there that they're being cheap, I want to know in terms of just like if that's true or not, because when you look at these three candidates that they actually interviewed, the one that maybe again like Monty, I don't think his resume is better than Bobby. So I thought that was like just. I don't really see a reason why Monty should be promoted ahead of Bobby, for example, just based on what they've done in basketball so far. Dwayne Casey, we'll just leave that aside, but clearly does not have the team building management resume to sort of be on here. The only one that you would say is Kevin Pritchard, and according to Granger's reporting here, Pritchard was the preferred choice of the three, but the Raptors could not pry him from the Pacers, which to me sounds like they didn't give him enough money or incentive for Pritchard to say, okay, I want to make this jump from Indiana to Toronto. One other thing you also notice on this list is there's no Bob Myers on this list. Now, granted, we can debate whether or not you want Bob Myers or not, but Bob Myers has a pretty damn good resume, regardless of sort of what he sounds like on ESPN nowadays, but he has like a really good resume. And in terms of like top of the line candidates out there who is a free agent to be a president of a team, Bob Myers should come up on the list, especially something like a CAA search list. But the fact that he's not even one of the three candidates mentioned does sound to me like they didn't have the money to go out there and be like, yo, we're going to get in a Bob Myers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Bob Myers Bob Myers would have cost more than any of these guys. And I think Bob Myers.
And if you're telling me prying Kevin Pritchard from the Pacers would have been difficult, what does that mean?
Yeah, but
it sounds like money.
Yeah, I think on the one hand, I think it's fair to make that assessment, but also it's like, I think it's okay to kind of draw the line sometimes too of like how much you're willing to spend. To like pry a Kevin Pritchard, right? Like this is not. I don't think this was like gonna make or break the organization. Like
I don't think so either.
You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
I think it's fair for.
But my general point is, I just don't want the Raptors to be treated like.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
We you know what I mean? Like we don't have the money, or like we'll spend the money only if it.
I'm not as worried about that. Like I know there's like some worries about how Rodgers is going to prioritize the different teams. I think we just generally assume that the Blue Jays are like the top priority for Rodgers, especially because they are successful right now. But
for sure,
I do feel like when the time is right and if the team proves that it deserves it, like we've seen Ed Rodgers spend before. Like you cannot like the guy, but like I think from a sports owner perspective, like I think there's probably a willingness to spend money if it makes sense. So I'm less worried about that, like from the Raptors perspective.
I guess to me the search kind of reflects the idea that the Raps weren't trying to spend
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
think
They weren't trying to take the money they were paying Masai to give to another candidate.
yeah.
They
Well,
were clearly trying to like pocket some of the money they were going
if
to
they
pay
were willing
Masai.
to give that money, I think they would have just given it to Masai, right? Like clearly,
I
I
agree.
think
Yeah.
clearly there was a difference there. Like I think
I
we
mean, they're
can
paying him
imply.
next year regardless. Masai getting
Right?
15 million from Rogers regardless. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? But
but
beyond that, obviously, you know what I mean? And that's sort
yeah.
of where the decision lies.
But yeah, no, I think for people who already have like the preconceived notion that they're like not willing to spend money, like this probably
Right.
reinforces it if you look at it like that. Yeah.
And also, what happened to the idea that like, oh, the Raptors may go the popular route of like hiring an agent to become president because none of these guys were agents. I'll tell you that much, man. So
Yeah, no,
um,
underwhelming list, man.
it was underwhelming, and that's why again, like, it really did point to I think the right decision was to just give it to Bob. The other thing that was interesting too is once you sort of obviously interview a lot of people, like you're gonna get a lot of opinions on sort of what your team is. And I think one thing that really like I saw sort of was popular last week in terms of just like Raptor fans discussing this was the report from Josh Lewenberg of TSN. Josh wrote, quote, according to multiple sources, some of the external candidates that were interviewed for the president position pushed back on recent roster decisions made by Ujiri and his front office. One went as far as calling the trade to acquire Ingram in February, quote, a desperate Hail Mary. And I think that in the common theme I got from reading Lewenberg's story, Michael Grange's story, Doug Smith's stories, was that the two things that were said about the Raptors were that, number one, they're really expensive, and then number two, the pieces don't necessarily fit. But going back to what Josh said in terms of just like the opinions on the Raptors and sort of where they are, especially with Ingram, being at the move being called, quote, a desperate Hail Mary, like, how do you feel about sort of how other candidates with fresh eyes looked at the Raptors and sort of their opinion on this?
Listen, I think Raptors fans will disagree on this, but it's like, yeah, I think it's fair for people to look at the Raptors from that perspective, right? Like you look at the track record, you look at the contracts that they've signed players to. Like if you take like a pessimistic view of what this team, how this team might not work out, like they haven't shown it, right? So I think
Okay.
from an outsider's perspective, if you're looking at this roster, like you are betting on a lot of stuff. And listen, man, you know how it is, man. You go in an interview, you're gonna throw the guy that was previously fired under the bus, because they're gonna be like, "Yo,"
Yeah.
Keith is gonna be like, "Yo, who's like, what can you do for me? Like why should I hire you?" And they'll be like, "Yo, man, Masai was trash, bro. Like, let me fix this." Like, they're not gonna be like, "Yo, Masai did a great job, man. I just want to continue his legacy." Like, of course he's
I
gonna
think
come.
Bob was the only guy who came in and said that.
No, Bobby probably trashed Masai too.
No, he did.
Bobby was probably like,
No, he
"Yo,
didn't.
man, yo, that young
Stop
trade,
reporting.
Ooh, man, Masai was telling me, man, we had to."
Nah, I don't know, man. I think that young trade was Bob's idea.
No, but it's like, yeah, I'm not too surprised by that. I think there's a general perception of that too. I think we talked about it early in the summer. I think Bill Simmons has been one of the guys who's been like a big proponent of like just being really down on the Raptors, just looking at the roster. There's some national media that are like that, and I know that always gets backlash from like Raptors fans, but it's fair, man. The Raptors have to show
Yeah.
it first. Like until you show it, like this is a
Right.
fair assessment of this roster.
But the one thing that does bother me is like, why are people already out on the roster without having seen it play together?
Yeah, but then it's a flip side of like, there's also people that are like, oh, Raptors gonna be, 45 wins. Oh man, Raptors could win 50. It's like, yo, why are
But
you
only
so?
Raptors fans are saying that.
But it's like,
I
why
think
are you
the
so?
betting
But
lines
it's
are like
like,
37 and a half.
yeah, but
like,
it's like, why are you so high on them without seeing them first either, though? Yeah.
because they're fans.
Not to
What do you
zag,
mean?
not to
They're
zag.
fans.
No, I'm anti-fan now. Yeah. That's
Oh,
my
okay.
new approach this year.
Oh, that's gonna work great.
Yeah,
But,
that's gonna work perfect.
I that's the thing to me that bothers me. I'm like, okay, look, you might say the pieces on paper in theory doesn't fit. Okay, sure.
No, it doesn't- it doesn't
you
bother
might
me.
point
I'm
to the
like,
track
yeah.
record of like the Raptors not having 25 wins the season before and then 30 wins.
Yeah.
But I think a couple things that like people are ignoring. Number one, the Raptors were actively tanking. Like actively
fair,
tanking.
fair.
Like we would make jokes with Masai about how they're winning too much, or we would make similar jokes with Bobby last year about how the team's winning too much. You know what I mean? Like
Fair.
they were as explicit as possible about trying to lose the last two seasons.
But there's
So I
still a
think that's-
difference.
that's-
There's still a difference. You can't just be like, oh, if they're trying to win now they're gonna win more.
No, for sure, right? Because the Raptors haven't shown that they could flip a switch, quote unquote. But again, like you compare the talent right now as compared to the talent a year ago, I think
Sure.
it's better than it
For
was
sure,
then.
for sure. But it's like
And I
there's a
think,
difference between that team winning,
yeah,
getting to 40 wins, or getting
sure.
closer to 50, right?
No,
Like,
no, for
like you
sure.
can say they're gonna win a bit more. It's like, but if they
Nobody's
land
saying
at
this
like,
team's a 50-win team, man. And honestly, like, no one should be.
I've seen some tweets.
Who said we're winning 50?
I've seen some
Nah,
tweets.
name
No,
them,
but
man.
listen, like we Colin Castleton's gone.
Yep.
Orlando Robinson is in Orlando, which I believe is the first player ever to have a name of the team. Yeah,
Where did Colin Castleton go again?
Orlando as well.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
oh, really? Orlando was like, yo, the Raptors are cooking over there.
Wait, who's the guy who left us to be their GM? Like the
Jeff Weltman?
yeah, Jeff Bum was like, yo, I want Castleton. He saw them
I
on
mean-
that. He saw them on that home and home back to back.
That might have been the funniest series I've ever seen. Is the Raptors going down to Orlando fully intending to tank?
Yeah.
Remember they were doing crazy stuff like they were like, "Oh, we're gonna pull all our starters with 2 minutes
Yeah,
left in
yeah.
the game."
And then didn't Franz Wagner like miss a layup or something? The first
Franz
game?
Wagner smoked a layup.
And then-
AJ
and
Lawson
then
hit a crazy three.
Yeah,
Jacoby
yeah,
Walter
yeah.
hit a game winner.
Jacoby like split his legs like
Yeah.
on the 3-point line. And made
The
a
next
three.
game, the Raptors were like, "We're gonna tank even harder by resting Scotty," and then they were like, "We're still gonna win this game."
No, listen, like regardless of how the Raptors do this year, I think there's just gonna be
Yeah.
like it's a low bar from last year, but there's just a higher level of
Guys,
excitement. There's higher
Can we
level
just
of
let
excitement.
this team play first before we pronounce that this team doesn't fit and they're too expensive? Like, we haven't even seen them actually play together and intend to win. And I know this sounds like maybe coping in some ways, but I think those are real factors, man. You don't bring in a guy like Ingram and it has no effect on the team. I just refuse to believe that based on sort of what the team needs and skill level. And again, the desperate Hail Mary thing. Yes, you could say that in terms
Talking
of
about
like
Masai, like Aaron Rodgers running around midfield.
he's like, nah, screw it, man. He's out there somewhere. Like, no, like, but when you think about the desperate Hail Mary thing, like, I think about it as like, I remember even when the move was made, I think we said the optimistic view is like the Raptors need somebody who can be that lead scorer, and you bring in a guy like Ingram who could do that for you. The pessimistic take, I remember even saying this when we were in the back room of Hong Shing the night we were recapping the trade. What the pessimistic view, I was like, this feels like when Brian Colangelo brought in Rudy Gay towards the end. You know what I mean? I think the key here is the Raptors didn't give up that much of value, man. It was it was okay. Would you rather have Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk, and at that time a 2026 Indiana Pacers first round pick, which was going to be in the 20s, before obviously you didn't know Halliburton's going to tear out his whole Achilles and everything, and that Miles Turner was about to leave as a result partially of that. Like, it just you're getting the chance to bring in Brandon Ingram in free agency, which is effectively what happened in this situation. Now
Yeah,
you could say
but-
the price was a little high or whatever,
Yeah.
but like you don't. Who else? Again, like you could look through the history of the Raptors and how many guys can get you a bucket. Like Ingram is a top 5 guy in terms of just that ability.
Yeah, I mean, I would zag and just be like, would you rather have given that $40 million to Pascal the year before?
I mean, again, if it was up to Bobby this whole time, I think Bobby would have just given that money to Pascal.
I just think these moves are up for debate. Like they're worthy.
No, they're
of
up for
debate.
debate for sure. But like,
They're
can we
worthy
at
of
least
debate.
see it before we're just like, yo, this
Yeah,
team
no,
is
that's
ass.
fair. That's fair. That's fair.
That's all. You know what I mean? If
Which
they're bad,
which
like,
reminds me, we need to do our annual go through the 82 games and predict every game.
oh well, we got a lot on the horizon. You know what I mean? So not to not to sort of toot our own horn, but obviously you finally got Serge Ibaka. Credit to you.
Shouts to
Incredible
Jordy.
interview.
Shouts to the whole team making it happen. Shouts to Hardo
Hey,
Studios.
shouts to Hardo, shouts to
Yeah.
Patois, everybody.
Yeah. Shouts to
included in
Amo
that.
and Ben stepping in as well, because I know you guys are still
Absolutely.
in Europe. Yeah. On nude beaches.
Yo, I want to clarify that it was not. I was fully clothed on the beach. Okay.
Yo, man, it's okay, man. You're in your expressionism era.
Yo, you talking about me like I'm Monet or something? But no. So
Mercedes, man. No.
But we got some hits on the schedule, man. We got some more exclusive interviews coming your way, and of course we
interviews.
got a legendary banter pod coming.
Banter
your
pod
way,
info
so-
StevenLeBron.com if you want to, talk to me. Yeah, talk tonight.
Yeah.
Ooh, let me
I
slide
want
away
a
right
pod tonight.
now. No, that is terrible.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
the last thing I wanted to get to was the to-do list for Bobby now that he's officially in charge. But before we do that, let's hear from our beloved sponsor.
This show is brought to you by Simply Spiked. Listen, hello and welcome fans. I want to tell you about my favorite drink of the summer. Simply Spiked is the perfect refresher on a hot summer day, and it comes in 3 delicious flavors. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite. For me, it really depends on the mood. Sometimes nothing beats the classic lemonade taste, but other times the peach just hits different when you want something a little smoother. But the limeade, that's the one I keep coming back to. It's tangy, crisp, and it feels just like summer. So whether I'm at a barbecue by myself, posted up on a rooftop patio with Jerome, or just kicking back at the beach with Will, Simply Spiked is always in the cooler. It's the kind of drink that makes hanging out with friends feel even easier, and there's a flavor for everyone. You can pick up a variety pack and try out each flavor. So pick up Simply Spiked at your local liquor store for your next summer hangout. Must be legal drinking age. Please celebrate responsibly.
There you go. By the way, I was celebrating responsibly with a couple Simply Spikes before Oasis last night, man.
Yeah, I was at
Bumped the blueberry, I hit the strawberry. You know, I'm legit trying the flavors though, man. They're
I was at
great.
a dinner with at Craig and Ivy's place on Friday, and friend of the program, Tony from Sunday's Coffee, brought a cooler of Simply Spiked. I also brought some Simply Spiked as well, and we had a great time. So
damn, well, you guys are celebrating responsibly. No, you've been having some great meals recently, man. You had Wagyu food last night. Ooh.
Yep.
Yo, top 2 regional Chinese cuisine, man.
Yeah, I saw that, man.
It's delicious, man. Little kebab, you know what I mean?
Oh my god.
The mutton with like the lamb with the onions.
Yeah, I'm a mutton head, man. Yeah.
Anyway,
I got nothing. I don't have any weaker humor.
To wrap up the show, I'm gonna give out Bobby's to-do list with the Toronto Raptors now that he is officially in charge of the team. And I have 5 items on this list of Bobby's to-do list for 2025. So
let's go.
Number 1 item on Bobby Webster's to-do list now that he's the manager, the official key decision maker for the Toronto Raptors. Honestly, I guess we just call him GM. It doesn't feel definitive, but whatever.
We're calling him the president, man.
Number 1 for Bobby, get the Raptors back to the playoffs. I think that this not only
get on the court.
Actually, Bobby can really shoot. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
stop blazing him. Bobby can really shoot.
I'm just telling you, I've seen him shoot. Anyway, whatever.
Okay.
Number 1 is just get the Raptors back to the playoffs. I think this would be the one thing that everybody really wants for the team this year. Mm-hmm. It will sort of bring more faith in the fan base back because I think
proper playoffs,
3-4 years,
no play in, like proper.
Yeah, proper playoffs, right?
Proper.
Get them back to the playoffs because I think this will get the fans back on your side. It'll win a lot of momentum immediately. I think even when Masai was brought in, the fact that the Raptors won 48 games that first year, you know, even by accident, was really, really great sort of momentum behind sort of that support behind Masai as the new guy leading the team moving forward. I think, too, it really helps improve the value of your players. I mean, the league is funny, right? Until you prove that you can contribute to winning, you ain't shit in the league. You might have hype, you might get money, but until you actually prove an ability to win, you don't have value.
That's a LaMelo Ball corollary, bro.
Honestly, that's not a bad one, right? So like, I think that you need to sort of get the Raptors back to the playoffs this upcoming season. This doesn't mean sell out. This doesn't mean like trade all your picks to get immediate upgrades. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the number 1 thing is, and this will help Bobby and the Raptors overall, is just if you get the Raptors back to the playoffs, you get some positive sentiment, some momentum, some support, some sort of credence that what the Raptors are doing is the right thing. That alone is like the most important thing. The second most important thing. Well, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say it'd be good for everyone too, because then you get to put more money in Rodgers' pockets, and then maybe they'll distribute that back, spend on the team.
Oh, I was gonna say, you think they're gonna lower the phone bills? No, probably not. Number 2 on Bobby's to-do list is you got to decide on RJ Barrett's future, and I think that the other big pieces on the team are locked up, right? Scotty's entering the first year of a 5-year maximum rookie contract extension. Jakob Poeltl was already extended this summer as well. Brandon Ingram was just brought in. He's in the first year of a 3-year deal. And of course, Emmanuel quickly is in year 2 of a 5-year deal. So those guys are already secured, locked up. You don't have to make any decisions about them unless you want to trade them in the near future, which I don't think the Raptors do. the one guy that actually is an open question is RJ Barrett, right? And so RJ is extension eligible currently. Don't think he's going to get that. But you have to sort of decide on whether or not he's a long-term piece for you and sort of whether or not he's willing to be a long-term piece for you that contributes towards winning. There's a luxury tax element of this too, but I think more importantly, besides the financials, it's just the fit, right? What's he going to look like now that he's on the Raptors with someone else who's probably going to be a leading scorer? Like RJ has been that player for the Raptors, not by much, you know what I mean? But like he has been the leading scorer for the Raps. Now that you brought in Brandon Ingram, how is he going to fit into all of this? Is he going to be a starter? Does he block the other shooting guards? You know what I mean? But you got to decide on RJ's future this season. And I'm not saying you should do it right now in the offseason. I think that you should roll into the season. You should roll into even the trade deadline and make a decision then. But there has to be a decision that is made on the future of RJ with the Raps. Is he a long-term piece, or is he another guy you flip off to another team to give him another chance somewhere else and to sort of bring back, a different style of player in return? But that's number two, because I think, in terms of just the two most important things, Raps got to get back to the playoffs and they got to make a decision on RJ's future. If I had to ask you right now, is RJ Barrett a Raptor come next season? Not 2025, 2026, but 2026, 2027. Would you say yes or no? Is RJ Barrett a Raptor starting 2026?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I think
Okay.
I think if the team does well, and I think if the fit works with the starters, like you mentioned, with Ingram, I think Bobby should approach RJ and be like, "Hey, we got a good thing going on here. See what Jalen Brunson did, taking a discount out there in New York.
Oh,
Like,
word?
if you do that here, we're gonna have a good team. We're still gonna have room to move. You're the hometown guy. Like, you'll be here when we're successful again." I think you gotta appeal to that side. But
Right.
if RJ is just looking for like the most money and wants to test the market and stuff, then I think it's a different conversation. But
Right.
I think it's time to pull out the loyalty card and
Mm.
get that Jalen Brunson discount. Yeah.
That Jalen Brunson discount was no joke, by the way, man. I can't believe that he's getting paid like half
He's
of
making
what
it
Cat's
back in
making.
like Kith clothing and other things, you know?
What's RJ gonna get back, man? Tim Hortons gift cards?
They're like, we'll give you Joe Fresh, baby.
Not Bacchus, like, yo, I'll give you 3 Hyundais, man. Whatever you want,
I
RJ.
have bad too, man. I got thoughts. Anyways, yeah. So that's
Number
number
3
two. Yeah.
on the Bobby Webster to-do list is you got to get under luxury tax, especially
Are they over right now?
So they're over right now by 2.8 million roughly.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a very doable thing. You don't even have to like trade RJ to do this. For example, you could like I mentioned before, if you don't feel Ochai is a long-term piece, and I would say certainly felt like Masai was much stronger on Ochai than Bobby was, just based on like just personal conversations with these guys. But like, you could just move Ochai, for example, for like picks, and you could do this. But you have to find some way to get on a luxury tax, because there's no way that this team should be paying the luxury tax. You should be paying the luxury tax when you are a conference finalist team, when you are a team that's got a perennial 50-win team, when you have a clear-cut superstar on your team. Pay luxury tax then, no problem. Right now, the Raptors they're not that quality of team, and they're not going to be paying the luxury tax. Bobby, being a guy who's a cap guru, he's going to figure out a way to do this. That's why I have a number 3. Like, it's important, but he's going to get it done. Number 4 is just develop an identity of this team, because I think that for successful teams, like, if I told you, like, hey, what's the identity of Indiana? You would tell me that, like, they're like a fast-paced offense. They're really creative. A lot of guys can really step up offensively
just like
for you.
unselfish too, right?
Unselfish. Yeah, there you go, right? Or like if I asked you, like, what's the identity of OKC? It's like
Get to the
they
free
play
throw
this-
line.
They get to the free throw line and they foul the shit out of you on the other side
Yeah,
too
yeah.
on defense.
Alex
You know what I mean?
Caruso
Like,
gets to play fucking defensive linebacker. Just tackle people.
Yep. I mean, Lou Dort is a defensive linebacker.
OKC hate is
physically.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, man. Honestly, I don't have to pretend like I love OKC or anything, because
They're not winning another
it is what
title
it
in
is.
this era, guaranteed. Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're a successful team, like, people can immediately identify your identity is.
Yes.
When the Raptors were really good, in the last decade, that you knew exactly what the Raptors' identity
What
was.
do you,
The Raptors
what do
got
you
to form
think
an
this
identity.
team's identity should be?
Well, I think Darko last year tried to make it all about defense. I think year 1, when he first took over, it was all about unselfishness, right? That was that was the term from Masai. Remember the media day? He was like, like, some guys might be selfish or whatever, right? But like, The whole thing was about unselfishness, and really what that meant was they're going to pass the ball a lot and share the ball a lot in offense.
Yeah,
and
they were tying
changed
like
from
they're
Nick
tying like
Nurse's
the Showtime Lakers for assists per game and stuff, man. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just stating facts, man.
Wow, the Showtime Raptors with Javon Freeman Liberty and Jonte Porter betting
Losing
unders.
time coming to HBO soon.
Oh goodness, man, tanking time. Garrett Temple on the court, you know what I mean? So I think year one was Darko coming in and changing and defining an offensive structure. Year two was Darko coming in. Remember before even entering year two, at Summer League, Bobby came up to us, or not,
Darko. Yeah.
Darko came up to us and he's like, we did all that stuff on offense, but we gotta. I think his words were, "We gotta fucking defend. We gotta fucking guard people." And I'm like, okay, all right, let's see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like big talk, let's see it. And I think, obviously, the first 2 months of the season, the Raps are literally the worst team on defense.
They pretty much crashed out around Christmas time. They were
They
giving up
crashed
like
out.
140 points a game. Type.
Remember, Darko literally crashed out in Memphis. Remember, he had got himself that annual ejection.
Yeah.
But like, that team did start guarding the second half of the season, and of course, like they were tanking. You know, they're resting a lot of players.
I'm still skeptical.
The schedule was
just about the competition, all of this stuff.
Totally. But I think that's what they got to build on, and I think that the identity now is that like they're a defensively capable team that shares the ball well, and it doesn't sound as sexy as everything else, but I think that's the idea based on the 2 years they spent building this thing. That's got to be what they are next year, and if they're not about that, then something's really gone wrong with the coaching.
Hey, listen.
And again, I'm not trying to be on Darko's head all the time, but like, you know what I mean? If the next person were to roll, it wouldn't be Bobby, it would be Darko.
Yeah, and I mean, Darko, you could say maybe like in a way was Masai's guy. I don't know, like hiring after Nick Nurse. I think defensively, like they brought in Colin Murray Boyles. Scotty's talked a lot about wanting to be all defensive. And you can see the potential of some of the guys, especially the younger guys, becoming like good to great, like defensive players. So I think there's some stuff there. Like, we'll see though. Like, we'll see. Like I think the starting lineup is still going to be a big question. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like a run and gun offensive team and they're really good offensively, and maybe that's how they beat teams. Maybe sometimes you got to see that.
I'd be pretty surprised.
You might.
We don't feel like a team that plays fast. I'm sorry, we just don't.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, like you said. I think you kind of got to see how that plays out too.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna play fast, you got to have like a point guard that really dictates that pace for you. Like, what I mean, like a Steve Nash, 7 seconds or less.
Yeah.
Like, head passes, all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. You don't see that same kind of vibe with the Raps.
But make sure you got tickets to watch the Raptors this season. Yeah.
Oh,
they'll be fun.
I mean, that's. I guess that's now on Bobby's to-do list. Now that he's the head of everything. And then the last thing. And you're gonna laugh at this, but I want Bobby Webster to have one quotable moment, one Masai podium moment.
What do you want him to do, man? The 9-10 playing game. He's like, yo, fuck Atlanta. Yo, fuck Georgia. Like, what do you want him to do, man? Yo, he should just recreate. He's like, I don't give a fuck about it, man. Yo, why is Bilal
I don't give
cool
a shit about it.
Why is Bilal Koulibaly talking crap about us before the play-in game? I don't give a shit about Koulibaly.
No, because I think one of the things that Masai did so well was he understood how to get people on his side.
Yeah, bars.
Which honestly, as the president, is like your number one job is to get people on your side.
But again,
and then obviously to treat the people well.
Masai and Bobby are different. But Bobby's not gonna have that like one emotional moment. You know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna have that. He might drop some bars. He could drop some bars though. Like,
name a Bobby bar right now.
I can't publicly.
Since you and Bobby are best friends, Dale, name one Bobby bar right now,
publicly. No, but like, he's not gonna be emotional. But maybe we will see a different side to him at the pressers. You don't know.
Do you think he's going to come more out of his shell, I suppose? Because remember, the reputation with Bobby in press conferences was just, he was
No, I feel like
hell.
Bobby's always going to keep that kind of the business side to him, right?
Okay.
Like, I don't think there's an advantage. Like, I don't think Bobby sees an advantage of, like, maybe shifting to being, like, more emotional and stuff.
It would be kind of weird, too, by the way.
Well, he should do the thing, because, like, Masai started making Bobby do all the pressers. He should just send Dan Dolsmith to do all the pressers.
Oh, man.
It's just like a continuous, like, hand-me-down.
You know what? As compared to Dan. By the way, Dan got some boring pressers. I'm sorry,
it's
man.
Like email. No, shouts to you, Dan. Shouts to you, Dan. No.
No, listen, we all support you, man. This is the least important part of the job. This is item 5 of 5. But
I think being boring for guys in those positions, it's actually a benefit. Like, how many loudmouth GMs are actually good? Like, I seen Daryl Morey profiled in every single publication for 15 years, man. Still no ring. Like Sam Presti. Does Sam Presti have bars? Like Sam Presti?
Pablo Torre found out. Sam Presti literally had bars. He was like a
Oh yeah, like
he
had
was
an
like an
album
underground
or
rapper
something,
back
right?
in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah. This guy's playing at CNE like 98 degrees, man. Yo, Backstreet Boys got the Sphere, 98 degrees. They playing in 98 degrees at CNE, man. That boy band battle's over, bro.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, no.
So no, I want one like quotable moment from.
I'm gonna put
Bob.
the over under at 0.5, and I'm gonna take the under, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
he's gonna be like, yo, believe in yourself. He suddenly changed up. You know what
He's
I mean?
like, believe in yourself, believe in the city. It's like, what part of the city, man? Bridle Path? I don't want to hear that from you.
Bob's like, believe in Queen West.
Believe in Brandy Melville, man. Holy.
He's like, yo, I want the Raptors to ring out in Trinity Bellwoods.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say no quotables.
Yeah. All right. Well, it would be nice to get one Bobby bar, but that's it. My top 5 to-do list items for Bobby in 2025: get back to the playoffs, decide on RJ Barrett's future, get under luxury tax, develop an identity for this team, and one quote for the year. But congrats to Bob. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we missed too much else in the 3 weeks that we were away. Oasis.
Did
Drum
we
chain.
miss
What
any
up,
of
buddy?
those? No, I guess not much.
Colin Castleton got cut. Like, I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah. Jonathan Kuminga situation still floating out there. Yeah.
Is it?
So boring.
No,
Bob
back,
Myers'
guys.
legacy. Drafting him. No, I'm just kidding.
Boring.
No, just wanted to welcome back you guys. We do have a couple comments I starred just for the fun of it.
Sick.
Question from Ace E. Will Bobby still do events with you guys now that he's the head honcho?
I mean, they might be private now. See you at the celebration dinner next month, Bobby. Yeah.
Oh man,
Salute.
come on, dude. No, you know what? To kind of think about it, like this did work out really well for us personally on the show. You know what I mean? Like,
It's funny getting congratulated by people.
No, every Asian every Asian too, like entrepreneur and like Toronto, like they were celebrating.
yeah.
Man.
Yo, you don't know what this does for Asians everywhere, man.
Yo,
Yeah.
I told you
economy's
guys,
booming.
but when I got back
Asian
to
Mafia's
our
up, man.
Tuesday hoop run, which was like the first time I saw people back from the trip. First thing, like Purnell, our boy, shout
our barber.
out to King's Landing, but he's like,
Styles.
"Hey
P.
man, your boy got in. Congratulations!" Like it was like our pick. Like we were trying to like reference the hire.
Yeah, we were always. I mean, whatever. Like we were always rooting for Bobby, and I
We
think
were, though,
just from.
But he was always chill with us. I think that's the key too.
And it
you know what I
always-
mean? especially
I
when
don't
you're
know,
coming
like-
up career wise, like nobody knows who you are and stuff. Like the people who actually like are willing to give you time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've certainly misstepped with Bobby before. Even recently this summer league when I was like, "Yo, you can be president." He's like, "Man, I can't talk about that."
Yeah,
I
you
was
crashed
like, "Oh,
out,
word?"
man.
It was a bold move. But
I'm
I
like, "Yo,
actually
we can
respect
go.
it.
We could take shots together, but I can't ask you if you're president."
You switch it up way too quick.
Huh?
That's the problem.
I rejected
Why not, man?
Bobby's offer to give me his number because like I don't want to ruin our friendship because like I
Really?
feel like I will text him like crazy stuff.
Also, like,
Okay.
didn't you just want his phone? Period.
Yeah. So when Bobby gets fired, I'll get his number, and then we'll become
Wow.
friends.
Jeez,
I got his
okay.
number anytime you want it, man.
No,
so-
I don't want it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It's too dangerous.
Shout out to you.
I would
Oh,
love
go
to
ahead.
still do events with Bobby, though. I think that was
Absolutely.
actually really cool. And I think it really, especially reflecting back on it, because originally we were supposed to do that event, I think in April, sort of closer to when the year ended. And then obviously it was pushed to around June. I do wonder sort of how much of the background sort of a factor into this. Again, Bobby doesn't ever tell us about his job stuff. You know what I mean? So I think he is pretty private in that sense, even to people who are like he's semi-friendly with. But it was always really fun sort of getting him in that atmosphere in front of fans where he's able to sort of just be open and free. And I think he always came across as like at least better than it was in the press conferences. You know what I mean? Like if you were to sort of tell me who Bobby is based on press conferences, you'd be like, this is anybody. You know what I mean? He's just any other guy. But then when you got to see his personality come out, I think that was really cool. So.
No, listen, man. Like we ran into Bobby's parents at Summer League, and I
Yeah.
think they were happy with the interview as
Right.
well. And it's like
Yeah.
there's no better review you can get than from parents and stuff.
Yo, from Bob, the original.
Yeah. The OG Bob, and shouts to Mrs. Webster as well.
Yeah.
Will, shout out to you and your kit that you have.
Oh,
What are you
Mike.
wearing? Is that a subway station in Montreal?
What? Yo, relax, man.
Malat de l'Homme? Yeah.
It
Olympic
is
Marseille, baby.
Yeah, Olympic Marseille jersey is what that translates
Yeah.
as. Will,
I mean, obviously.
do you want to read that comment for the listeners with all of your Duolingo expertise now?
No, let me read it.
Okay, go for it, Alex.
Will avec un malot de l'homme, ha ha ha.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's actually not bad.
What's up?
That sounds like RJ when he answers questions from Mike.
What's up, Vec?
Avec is with. and
Avec Jacob.
Avec Jacob.
Oh, no.
That's you when you go to Indian restaurants.
Oh, man.
No, Olympic Marseille, man. I was in Marseille as part of the trip. You'll hear a lot more about this in the banter pod. We have a pretty good banter pod coming out.
Sure.
Hopefully,
Pretty.
I
It's
think
gonna be a fucking all-time classic.
oh, it's gonna be all timer, man. We got Oasis. We got our trips from. You guys were in Berlin. We were all in
Anfield. You
Scotland
went to
together. I went to
Liverpool
Anfield.
game.
Woo!
We got-
Yo,
we got-
Chiesa, baby.
We got full Serge Ibaka behind the scenes stories.
That's right.
Serge
we got-
Ibaka behind the scenes.
We got me.
It's
We
for
got
us, too.
We got Norm making me do a behind the back dribble.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about you.
That's right. That's right.
Catching up with Norm, man.
We're getting some great listener questions already. Again, man, info
Oh,
at
yeah.
LeBron.com, man. Talk to me.
Hey, this is your chance to get them in, man.
Do we have
but
to
this
pick
is gonna
out
be
some indie albums for you, Alex, too?
I think
Oh,
we're
yeah.
I think we might be too packed for this one.
I think we might be too
Right.
packed for this
We're
one.
gonna-
I
we're
might got to
say-
pick out Oasis B-sides for us to fit the theme.
We're two pack Shakur, man.
Oh man,
Crickets.
no, we were half the world away, man. Legit, man. I was
Yeah.
crying and crying and.
All right, what else, man?
Murrayfield.
I'm trying to slide away little by little here, man. Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
Actually,
nice.
just a shout out to you. Our friend and show Ingrid said earlier on, Alex hasn't spoken yet today. He was just using his just woke up voice.
I didn't realize my just woke up voice is basically Doc Rivers. Yeah.
Well, I did set this up for you.
I was like,
I did set
Hey,
this up for
guys.
you.
man, that Oasis show last night. I'm telling you, Bill. Like, you know when CP and Blake Griffin like Lob City, like that's Noel and Liam, man. Like you just gotta clear out. Like, man, I was so impressed. I was with DeAndre. Like I was telling Baby Doll, like what a show, man. What a show. What a special group. Yeah, man. Yo, Giannis is gonna be incredible this year. Am I still? Wait, is he still the coach on the Bucks?
Is he still?
Yeah.
Is he coaching the Bucks? He is, right?
Yeah, we blew 3-1,
yeah.
but you don't look back in
forgot
anger. You don't look back in anger.
The ball go between Gary Trent's legs. What am I gonna do, man? That's a champagne supernova type event, man. You know what I'm saying? No, I didn't
mean, on
realize
that
my
front-
voice cracks when I wake up. Damn.
On that front, last comment here. Less raps, more Oasis. Thoughts on the rain during Stand By Me last night. Biblical. Do we talk about this now, or do we save it for the banter?
I mean,
We can talk about it real quickly now.
I mean,
so-
real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the rain hitting on Live Forever was like that was
Oh.
incredible, man.
I mean, to
just-
actually
In the morning
sing.
rain.
Yeah, to sing
as
in
it
the morning
soaks you
rain.
to the bone.
It's so.
Sorry,
yeah, it was
that's
magical.
That's like if Liam Gallagher was from like Alabama or something, and not Manchester.
Yeah.
Not
No,
Manx.
it was magical, man. And the
Nah, it
way
was
it built
amazing.
and everything. We'll talk about it more. But
Yo,
yeah,
Well, the- 'cause-
Toronto show is better than Edinburgh show. Will and I agreed.
Upset of the
Really?
century, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, emotionally, the Edinburgh show is gonna be more important for me because that's the first time I saw
Absolutely.
Oasis.
Vibe,
in a
crowd,
different
everything
world.
last night was better.
oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Because I only obviously went to last night's and not Murrayfield. But
I was like, damn, you telling me I didn't need to go plan a trip to Europe? You tell me we had
no,
Oasis
you got to see
at-
Drake twice.
You tell me we had Oasis at home. No, shouts to Fringe Festival, man. I'm a big Edinburgh fan.
Yeah, yeah.
You
What'd
are,
you see,
okay.
man? Hole?
So, yeah. Definitely check out Hole.
Okay, well, anyway, on that note,
It's a real show, man.
It's a real show.
It's
It
a
was
one-man show.
Also, it was a real band
Two-
from
two-man
the
show.
'90s, a real grunge band.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, yes,
Oh, man.
we're gonna do a banter pod later this week. We don't have a specific
For
day,
sure.
but I think we're looking at Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, it's basically whatever day Andrew Nemhardt's free because we're interviewing him as well. you
We're
know what I
interviewing
mean?
Andrew Nemhard later
Andrew,
this week.
AJ Lawson come on the pod. You know what I mean? Sounds like it's gonna happen this week.
That's the
So
that's the
recording
biggest,
wise, we won't drop it this week. You know, but
Yeah,
But,
we're gonna
yeah.
record a couple episodes for you.
That's right,
that will
man.
come over the next couple of
Yo,
weeks.
some
But
special
this week-
shows just for you, man.
Yeah, but we
Yo,
do have a
man.
banter coming up later this week, Wednesday or Thursday. Keep your eyes out for
Yeah,
that.
join us for that live, man. Live is always
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Like having people in here, like even like what's the number here? Like 900 people
Almost,
Yeah.
yeah.
watching this and stuff. You probably hate your jobs on a Monday. It's awesome.
hey, like the
You
stream
want
before you
work.
go, man. Like the stream, please.
Yeah, like the
Please like the
stream. Tell
stream.
people to subscribe.
Yeah.
Like do all that
Absolutely.
stuff, man. But like,
Yeah.
man, before we go, like I know people
Oh, yeah.
know like on this show, like I'm the health and wellness guy. And I've been talking a lot about these incredible nut bar smoothies, and shouts to the nut bar team for sending over
what?
some hats for the team.
Yo,
So-
what?
This hat right here is perfect for your jersey today, or for Jerome's Oasis shirt, man.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm keeping the brown one here, but yeah, Nut Bar. Shouts to
So
the
we're
friends.
sharing one hat.
Yo, guys, you know,
Shouts to friends at Nut Bar. If you go, definitely get the Ultimate Recovery or Vitamin C smoothie. And if you go to
I need that right
Adelaide-
now, actually.
Yeah, if you go to the Adelaide location, just be like, "Yo, Alex from Hello and Welcome sent me," and they'll be like, "Who?"
Yeah.
But it'll be very helpful for us. So ran into a listener coming out of Nut Bar, the other day too. He was like, "Yo, when's the banter pod coming, bro?"
Yo.
So streets are asking for it. So
You guys know the best banter pod is always either August or September banter pod.
yeah, because we
Like,
actually
just
get
in
to
the
live our
3-year
lives.
history
a
of
little
doing
bit.
this.
Yeah, we get to
Yeah.
live our lives a little bit, and then we get to come back and just like talk all about it, and it's always great. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So,
There you go. Well, this has been Hello. It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Oh, my
Hello.
yo, and any white
Hello.
And welcome.
listeners,
And welcome.
going to Oasis tonight, hit me up. I'll be there by myself.
Alex going to his third Oasis show.
But only
Come
white
on, man.
listeners. Only white. We ran into so many white listeners yesterday. We didn't know this demographic existed.
Oh,
Saw them. And
yeah.
we saw
Well,
them.
I mean, if you're gonna find white listeners for the show, it's gonna be at an Oasis concert.
We saw them. We saw them.
Yeah.
So appreciate all you guys. Yeah.
there you go.
And
All right, love you guys. Congrats to Bobby for taking over. We look forward to sort of seeing how he, shepherds this team into the new era. Yeah, we'd love to hear about sort of like what your thoughts are on the team, just in general. But otherwise, we'll be back with you later this week with the Banter Pod, and of course, we'll be dropping more exclusive interviews on this show. If you haven't already, cannot recommend the Serge Ibaka interview enough. That thing was, I was legit on a train from Marseille to Nice, 2 hours
Were you naked?
in the morning.
On
the train?
Oh yeah. I don't know.
And I was watching the interview, and I was just
Nude.
smiling the whole time, man.
Yeah.
I was just clothed and smiling, okay, enjoying all the stories.
These guys
that
are
you and
never
Serge are going
nude.
back on.
Never nude alert.
Also not true, man. All right, that's it for the Hello Welcome podcast. We'll see you later this week. I appreciate you guys.